Moorhead Politics, and let's just jump right into it. I'm here with Jeff Brown. He's my co-host,
How you
but more
doing?
importantly, hey, we are talking to Franklin Rice. We're excited to say is on the ballot in November, and that's why we wanted to talk to him to get a sense of, well, what next? How do we help? How what has he learned from the election thus far, from the primary? And so let's just jump right into it. Franklin, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
So what have you learned from the election that just got done last week?
Um, I learned that not everybody knows what's going to happen. You don't know the outcome until it's over. Um, it was and I don't not just talking about the sheriff's race, the whole all the races all put together.
Yeah.
And as far as being on the ballot, just so nobody says anything, I have enough numbers. I spoke to them again today. I have the numbers to be on the ballot.
That's
They
right.
have to continue to put them in, and even though I'm over the number, they don't just stop because they're still having to enter all the ones I gave them, and once they get them entered, they'll send me a letter, a certification letter, or they'll actually call me, tell me I got my certification letter in. I go over there and I pay my filing fee, and then I'm on the ballot. So just so nobody don't say, he's not on the ballot kind of thing. Everything I asked them today, what could keep me off the ballot, and they were like, well, if you get a felony and the next thing, all the what if stuff, yes, but right now everything is good with my petitions. Everything's good with the signatures. I'm just waiting for them to finish counting them because I did have so many over. Ended up the final count that we actually turned in, now not validated ones, but we ended up turning in like a little over 3,500 signatures, which is crazy.
That's a lot.
It is. Now validated, like I said, I went over there last Tuesday
Yeah.
and turned in the last 400 to them. And when I was in there, they had told me, gave me the thumbs up, said, "Yeah, you're already over now. Go ahead and turn these in, but you're over now." And so I went
So
ahead
you
and
were
turned.
well over.
Yeah, I was over then by a couple hundred at that time, and I still turned, and they were still putting those in, and I turned in another 400. Um, and so they're making sure everything's still valid, and or they're having to put them all in just because they have them. So that's what I was told.
Okay. Well, one of the big questions when I talk about, like, what did you learn about last week about the primary? So you're kind of skipping the primary and going straight to the big dance in November. And I'm wondering, how much do you want to talk about? I mean, you might not want to talk at all, but about your strategy, about coming in this summer.
Uh,
And there was definitely some surprises. I feel like we were surprised by. We're going to talk to Shane tomorrow. We'd like to talk to both of you guys at some point, but we just wanted to kind of get your thoughts and then hear from Shane and go from there.
um, my my summer plans are actually starting now. It's
Yeah.
going to be continue. I've had people, oh, don't, you can take a break kind of thing, but I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. I have kind of this weekend a little bit just because there was other things to do this weekend, trying to get some, but now it's because I am behind. It's getting the donations, getting the money in, because wasn't collecting donations before because I was making sure I was on the ballot. Um,
Mm.
So now I'm doing that, which I reached out to a few supporters, and I got more that's coming in. But also moving forward, they after that, because everything cost. I mean, I was on the phone today with calling the people with the texting, political texting, stuff like that, the cost there. I'm going to be doing some, meeting with different leaders of different communities, the commissioners of different communities, the, different civic leaders, doing some town hall meetings in different areas. And plus, I'm going to be doing knocking on doors throughout the county, just rolling with it. I'm going to have questionnaires on my, on my both my Facebook and my website, where people can hit the QR codes. I'm going to have hand out some rack cards where people can hit the QR code and answer some questions, so I can see what the public. Like I said, my campaign's built on the public and what the public wants. And I'm going to get in touch with the public and let them, because some of them might not feel comfortable right to start with, just tell me this is my problem. But if they can come on there, answer a few questions, what do they see? What do they see good? And what do they see that could use improvement? What they would like to see out of their sheriff's office, because it is theirs. So that's one of my things moving forward. And just pulling some stats and start researching a lot of different things moving forward, going into the general election.
Jeff, did you have any questions before I keep hitting
them? So what do you think you need to do? Obviously, Shane, I think he said that I think he wants everyone probably that voted for him to vote for you now, so hopefully, and he had a total of 3,122 votes. If you've got 3,500 signatures, that's roughly, that's 6,622. So it leaves you about 2,600 votes somewhere in there that you would need to get to overcome the 9,254 votes that Chief Deputy Nyberg received. And I'm looking at the results, and it's kind of crazy, because I mean, he just got such an overwhelming. I mean, do you think it's just a matter of people knowing who you are and getting the word out there? I mean, let me go back here. I mean, what do you think the biggest deal, why it was such, I hate to use the word, but a blowout that it was? It just was overwhelming.
Well, Chief Deputy Nyberg's, he has ASA's endorsement.
Okay.
And that's huge. Okay. He has Sheriff Buck's endorsement, which is huge. He's also, he kind of got the tap from the Republican Party from Chief Deputy Nyberg. And that kind of helps him a lot, because people that don't know him, the ones that don't know him, are still going to go and side with him because of Sheriff Buck. And that's where a lot of, I think, the blowout, as you said, I think that had a lot to do with it, just because of that. Because I mean, I saw stuff on Facebook and still see stuff now where it's kind of who, and I even dealt with it, when talking to people, people that are going to support me, they ask, well, who's Asa, because Asa's a hometown boy, and he's been doing a great job for the last 20 years or 19 years, whenever. People are like, who's Asa saying? And that matters a lot, and a lot of people don't look at it. A lot of people don't,
what's the plan to overcome that? How are you going to overcome that?
Well, we're talking 3,000, 3 or 4,000 people. There's also, they were just the Republican people. They were not the unaffiliated people.
That's true.
They were not the Democratic people. They were just Republican people. And again, he won, 75% of the Republican Party. So if I go in and concentrate, and because I'm going to have some of them Republican votes, some of them same people that may have supported Nyberg on the primary because my name wasn't in there, may be, supporting me in the, the general election. I mean, I had people calling me all day, kind of angry, going, "Hey, where was, you weren't on the ballot," because they didn't understand the whole dynamics of it. And so
they're not watching our podcast.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be a whole. Well, even explain it to them. Some of them still didn't get it, but they. I think it's going to be a big difference. Again, we talked about it, and that's that whole. That's going to be running because you're running against. You're basically running against Asa and Nyberg.
Pretty much.
Again, he put the tap on him, and that's where you are. And there was a lot more money. You talking about people see signs. I mean, they had the courthouse surrounded with signs. They had the polls surrounded with signs lined up. Shane was running off of Shane's money, and Shane's has donors, but it wasn't half as many as support that Nyberg had from the Republican Party. Not even close.
Yeah.
So,
can I tell you a big component? I think that it is.
Yes, sir.
And I saw this with some of my other friends that have run before, and getting on the Tea Party ballot is huge around here, because you get on the Tea Party ballot and you get that thrust of the Tea Party generic ballot that they're passing out, and all the volunteers that come, all the manpower that comes with that. And I actually think, and tell me what you think about this, Franklin, is I think I really like the fact that you're unaffiliated. We've talked about it before. Actually, it was Jeff that sort of opened my eyes to this. Like, why is this a partisan thing? I think that there needs to be something comparable to the Tea Party that here in Carter County that comes out and puts out as much effort for the non-Tea Party, for the non-ultra conservative, for somebody who's a little bit, especially in this case, for somebody who may be the outlier that is not neither the party. And I was curious what you think about that. Somebody who's, an alternative generic ballot where Democrats might want to, no Democrats can look at the Tea Party ballot, right? Like the generic.
Right. And that's you bringing that up. That's a big thing with Nyberg's thing too, and Shane. You go out and Nyberg had somebody everywhere the whole time. He had that group, the Tea Party group. He had deputies, retired troopers. He had them at every poll from, early voting right on out. There's 26 polls on election day. He had people at all of them. He had them throughout when there was only 3. That's a big thing from the word go, to have somebody at those polls at all times, pushing the name, having those ballots made up, pushing the name so your name is coming off their lips and it's in their ear when they're walking in the door to make the votes, to make that vote. So that is a huge thing that he didn't have, because those people that didn't know Nyberg or Shane, they didn't know either one of them, and walking in the door and they got, somebody out there that they did know, or somebody out there at least saying, "Hey, this is the guy right here."
Exactly.
Because if they don't know and they hear a name, that's it. That's when they're running with.
Yeah. All my family, they had no idea who to vote for sheriff. They didn't know either. And so when I said, "Hey, vote for Shane," that's who we like. He came on our podcast. We loved what he had to say. I don't really know John, they said, okay, whatever. We don't know who, they would have just voted whoever's on the Tea Party. A lot of my family's conservative. They would have just looked at the Tea Party ballot. Boom. They would have gone with, what does it say for sheriff? John Nyberg? Boom, So that's what I was thinking as a strategy for you. Somebody out there handing out those generic, here's who to vote for.
And that's going to be, I'm going to have that. I have a good support system behind me, a really good support system. Whereas I don't think Shane's got some good supporters, great supporters. But as far as like that could be out and about, because I've already, told my crowd, hey, here's the deal. Just as soon as the, early voting schedule comes out for November, as soon as we get that, we get the dates and everything, the places. I mean, we're going to start scheduling people. We're going to have it scheduled where there's not a time where there's not going to be somebody at all the polls, whether it's me but somebody will be at all of them. And the day of the election, we're going to have somebody at all 26 polls, and we're going to have stuff to hand out. We're going to make sure, Rice for sheriff is one of the last things they hear before they walk through that door to make that the thing.
And you have, I mean, Shane had he had to jump on things and kind of do things right. Whereas you have 7 more months, right? To build that coalition, to build that volunteer army.
Yeah. And again, Shane's been gone for 30 years. He was outside of outside of Carter County for 30 years, where he was in Pitt County. So not saying he didn't have, like I said, he had good support, but he's been away for 30 years, where people are still like, oh, I didn't know, he came back or whenever. So, I mean, So that's a huge thing where I've been here the whole time. I've worked here. I have people that see me, have seen me for the last, 30 years, see me the whole time right here in Carter County. So it won't be as hard for me as it was for Shane getting supporters that'll be out there, out and about. Because I mean, again, you can look at my Facebook page and stuff like that, and I got humbling supporters.
Are you getting?
I read that, it just it humbles me so much just to see the great outpouring of people I have.
Are you getting any support from like the local, like the police department, like the police chief or anybody like that? Are they coming out saying, hey, or could he not do that because of or does he not want to get involved, or like anybody that's in public service around here? I mean, the city council.
Yeah, what kind of endorsements?
Yeah. Right now, the police department, of course, he's sworn. I think he might hold for the SRT crowd. I think he holds some kind of certification, but I think most of the police departments around here are staying out of it. They stay out of it just because they don't want to burn no bridges either way. They don't want to support anybody either way, just because they got to work with whoever wins. They're going to have to work with. I know a lot of the police department, the police chiefs around here, and I've talked to some of them, and not in a come with me kind of situation, but we've talked about it. Some of them called me and like, hey, when the world are you thinking? Kind of situation, but why are you running? Ain't you going to retire? But
that was brought up.
Yeah. So, but but again, they're not going to come out and do that and really back nobody. Commissioner wise, as of right now, I mean, I haven't heard from, but of course, as you know, Moorhead's kind of been dealing with their own stuff here lately, and so I've kind of stayed away from that altogether, and so that's neither here nor there with them.
Well, we do actually. I do want to say that we have Lee. His could be watching right now. He gave us a thumbs up, and I did have a question as to what that. I mean, now that it is Lee who's going to be the mayor. What does that look like moving forward, working with him, collaborating with him, maybe getting his endorsement?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I mean, I've known Lee for a while now, and again, me and him conversate a lot. We haven't through this situation here. Before going into it, we had, but before, because again, he was dealing with his race, and I was dealing with mine, and kind of, but we share a lot of the same friends. Friend base or whatever, supporter base, and I think that's going to help us out. And we're definitely going to. I mean, he will definitely. I feel he will endorse me as much as he can.
So
Okay.
one thing. So what do you think? I think that probably, again, I'm no freaking political science expert, but I would say that now we know. So it's going to be between you and the Chief Deputy Nyberg, and he stated that he's not going to change anything, that he's going to keep status quo basically. Well, that's what everybody's saying. Are you going to come out heavy on any policies to say, look, we need to change stuff, like this needs to change XYZ because this is why? And you think, and what exactly? I know you covered some of the things you wanted to start implementing, and I believe that you were talking about like community policing big time as far as getting out, getting deputies out of their cars, kind of thing like that. More community maybe based policing, getting around.
Yeah, we like that a lot. Yeah.
And just maybe for people that are out there that they might be on the fence, or they only know Chief Deputy Nyberg, and maybe some of the policies, like I said, that you think maybe, hey, look, we need to change some things for the we can't keep doing this the way it's going because it's just not going to work out in the end.
Yeah, and everything kind of needs to change sometimes just to stir it up. You got to hit the refresh button from time to time, just to get something new. And again, the word change scares some people to death. That word. There's going to be some change. Again, I'm coming in community oriented. With community integrity and accountability, and hold people accountable for the stuff. My pillars are being community accountability, crime prevention, being more proactive than reactive. I think here lately I think pulling, making sure we got plenty of people on the road answering calls. When you talk to the citizens, and I've watched them in some forums, a lot of the citizens have already said, the response time for calls, stuff like that, and that's going to need more deputies on the road than there are in the office, and things like that, and that's going to be a plus.
Well, and also something I heard, and you'll definitely probably know about it also, considering you're still, working, that I heard that the communication system is just archaic. It needs to be updated. And that, is that, maybe instead of using, I guess, the word change scares people, maybe modernize or modernization, bring some things into the, into 2026 where, because I was having a conversation with a local police officer, and we just happen to be talking about, I'm from a rural area, and even that, just, communications and stuff like that. And he mentioned that, sometimes it's hard to even get radio signal inside a building. And I heard that they were supposed to be updating that system. Do you know anything about that? And is that going to be a priority for you?
It's definitely going to be a priority. I think that was initially tied to the new building. Because right now communications they're located in the Morehead City Police Department. They share a building with us. Mm-hmm. And the talks I had heard, again, I wasn't involved, but the talks I had heard was the new jail and the new county building they were talking about was going to be part of this communications building, to make it a county building. So so at that point when they did make that move, it was going to upgrade. They've been talking about when the 900 said, the same thing the troopers use, the highway patrol uses their same system. But I mean, they can talk from here to Wilson, wherever, where sometimes we can't talk from here to down the road or to each other pretty much.
Right.
So yes, there is several talks now going into it and that's definitely going to be a situation because that's officer safety all day long, and officer safety is going to be key. So yes, working closely with communication and building the communication system. I know the people that do it and put the equipment in our cars and handle all that stuff and do build there. They're doing the best they can with what they get and what they've asked for over the years. But ECI and Gary McKeel and that crowd do a great job, and they want to build. They want to, they want to modernize. They want safety. They're big on that, and it's all about a money thing. It's all about how much money can come out. And
well, I was actually researching just on my own, and there's a whole page that if you just Google federal grants for municipal or county law enforcement, I mean, there's some money out there that people, I mean, I guess it's easier said than done, but grants, when it comes to grant money, I think for equipment, it's easier to get it for equipment upgrades that's going to last, as far as like trying to use grant money for a paid position, because you don't know when it's going to run out.
Right.
But you mentioned the jail, and Shane mentioned that also, that the jail's in massive need of an upgrade, and that, what is going on with that? Because that seems to be, now that's the second time I've heard about it. I mean, and maybe this is something I think that people need to know. I don't know how many people, and again, I'm new to Morehead City, or Carteret County, but is that something that's known around here, that the jail needs, and all this, that they need this upgrade, that it's crucial, like you said, even to officer safety?
Yeah, well, as far as the jail, yes, it definitely needs to be upgraded. It don't hold. I found a lot out about the jail system needing an upgrade. Like you said, it's not known. Yes, I mean, if you read the paper and stuff like that, it's there. It's on or go to commissioners' meetings and stuff like that. But how many people really go? But they, those people know the ins and outs of it. It's supposed to be on the outside of Beaufort. They're talking about, they're talking about it being like 300 to 400 beds, where right now ours holds like 125. And this information is coming from Nyberg, when he did a forum down there. Him and Shane did a forum down there. I happened to be at in the western end of the county, and they talked about the new jail in both of them, and we all agree. Once you hear the numbers and realize that we're paying other jails to house our inmates, and we're having to do that because we can't house them ourselves here. It gets to be a money thing, and of course, that jail, the jail there are now. I think it was in the 90s. I mean, don't quote me on that. When it was built, and that's where it's at. But as far as the it needing it and the communication system and all that, yes, it's a need. Again, it all goes back to money. It all goes back to commissioners, and because there'll be a tax thing, it'll be raising taxes. It's going to be a lot of stuff, and if you're a citizen sitting there and you've never used a jail facility, you know what I'm saying? You've never been there or whatever. You don't really want your tax money to go for another jail. But, I was in a place the other day where people were like, why do we need a bigger jail? Well, I mean, your stuff's never been broke into. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
Well, even that, so with that being said, though, you're talking about response times. Now, if our jail is full, and whether it's Morehead City Police Department or the Sheriff's Department or Atlantic Beach or whoever, and the jail's full, do they have to transport that prisoner to the other jail, or is the jail providing transports?
The jail, the county provides all that.
Okay.
Yeah, everything goes through our jail here, but it's still deputies. You're still talking about deputies have to. Sometimes deputies have to do that transportation if you have nobody on the transportation team to make, because there are 3 or 4 members, I think, maybe even more than that do transport them back and forth, but they have to transport them there, transport them back for every court case, transport them back there, because you had to make sure you get their court dates, stuff like that. So it does get costly when it comes to that. A big fear of the other of them building a new jail. Of course, they were going to build it bigger, and then talk about us housing some for money, inmates from other areas. The big fear there is us housing, jails giving us the worst of the worst, or the sick and ones that need like first aid medical attention, where our county would have to, it costs us more to take care of them than it would. So, I mean, there'd be some talk there of seeing actually what level inmates we would take, stuff like that. So there'd be there's a lot more into it than just saying, hey, we'll build a jail and we'll keep the light on for you and you can keep sending us some with some money. But we're gonna, there's a lot of talking and a lot to go into it. And again, the county commissioners, how they're, because that election's pretty much, I think, over. I think they were all Republicans, right? The ones that ran.
I think so.
You got
County commissioners,
Overby, Jimmy Paler, and Chris Chadwick. I think they were the ones that were running, if I'm not mistakenly. And those there, right? Is that it?
Yes, sir.
And they're all, I think Overby's really the only one in there that's kind of new. I know Paler's new, but he knows the crowd really well on the East End. So, like I said, I think it's going to be good to see how, the sheriff and the new, the new commissioner group, comes in with this project, because again, right now it's been put on hold. It's been there. I think they said some of the land's been bought, stuff like that through a grant or something like that. And again, don't quote me on none of this because this is just hearsay to hearsay. And that's where we are. But it has been was moving forward on the piece of land, stuff like that, and then it got stopped again for some reason I don't know, unless it's just to wait and see, it being an election year kind of thing, kind of stopping it so you don't get in the middle of something and then a new group come in and say, "Oh, we're not going to do that," kind of thing.
Well, we're running a little low on time. Jeff, did you have another question?
No, we can do it. I got a million questions I could probably ask. But one thing I think you were talking about is, I don't know if we talked about it, but as far as increasing actual patrol deputies, their numbers, right?
Right.
And now, obviously, there's expenses that go along with that. Are you going to have a new, all the deputies going to have their own car? Or would it even be maybe something like we're going to create more positions, and then maybe in some of the more rural areas where there's substations to say, you guys got 2 deputies rolling around in one car at least at a time. That way you've got 2 in that area, or, just somewhere in that nature. Like, what would be your thoughts on that?
When I was talking about more deputies on the road, I wasn't necessarily talking about hiring more deputies right now. Of course, again, that's something we always want. We want more positions. I think right now they have, not counting lieutenants and sergeants, I think there's nine on patrol on each shift. And there's other positions, and when I get there, I'll look at positions inside the building, and they all have cars, and seeing which is more important. Seeing where the important lies, like answering the call or seeing what other services we provide that maybe we can, like, somebody double up on the job. That's going to be a lot to look at and see. So it ain't really going to cost a whole lot. I think we got there's plenty of cars, I think, right now. From when I know about it, I know some part timers have cars. There's several part timers that are out there driving around. So I think some of that could be used for full time. Maybe make some of them part time positions full time positions. It wouldn't cost as much as far as your vehicles and stuff like that, because we have those vehicles.
Okay.
So that might limit the money there. So that's what I'm talking about and looking at.
Okay, great.
One of the things I asked Shane, and I want to put it to you, I said, if you don't win, would you be willing to work with one of the other candidates? And he was very clear that he would. Yeah, this is even before the race on Tuesday. He said he would definitely work with Franklin, with you. So my question is would you be open to partnering with Shane and some of his ideas? We really liked him, and we really liked some of his ideas, as far as some of his programs, getting a grant writer, stuff like that. Would you see a path to working with Shane?
Well, I watched Shane on your podcast, and I know he's retired and has no desire, if he's not the sheriff, to come back. I mean, like, not be chief deputy or nothing like that. But some of his programs, I know some of them we already have, but it's like everything. You want to hear as much as you can, because there might be a program that we do that he was bringing that you listen to it. You don't never just say, we got that. We got that, because that's how you learn. That's how you build your program better. You take a bunch of ideas, and so yes, I definitely listen to his ideas, how they how he thinks things should be. As far as like some of his programs, stuff like that. Same way I'm going to take a lot of the deputies. When I move, when I get sheriff and move in, I mean, I'm going to meet with all the deputies and get their ideas and what they think and what they see again, and the citizens, and if they have a plan on a program, then we'll go with it. That's how you get better. That's it's not going to be my plan. That's the way it is. I'm going to bring this plan in here. If they have a plan that's better than my plan, we'll go with your plan. And that's what I'll do with Shane and anybody else. If they have an idea, I'll listen to it. And even if we have the program already there, maybe Shane's program will help tweak our programming and modernize, like you talked about before, and different things like that.
Well, I think one of the problems I've had so far with all the campaigns is, and that's why I like talking to you guys, is that it gets a little too big and a little too vague. Well, and maybe even if it's not vague, maybe if it's specific in a lot of different areas, it's overwhelming. It's like, drinking from a fire hose. What if you could just break down your vision to like just an elevator speech in a way that you are different than John Nyberg, contrasting between you and John Nyberg? How would you put that?
Between me and John Nyberg, again, I'm going to focus on the community. I have a passion for the community. I have a reason to be the sheriff, and it's my heart for the area. So I'm going to want to do the best no matter what, and what's best in the community, not for me or for my own personal gain. I want to, he stands on I have a leadership, whenever experience. I have leadership experience too. They don't make just because you were the captain or this, don't mean you can lead from anywhere. Okay. And that's what I want. That's what I'm bringing to the table. I want everybody to be leaders at the sheriff's office and role models to the citizens, from the word go. Again, the accountability is huge. I've seen, and some kind of standards and some kind of rhyme or reason, for the way things are done. Because again, the good old boy system is that's not modern anymore. Just these are my buddies, these are this. We're gonna move them here and here and there. It's not gonna, it don't need to be there. Again, everybody should get along. I mean, it should be a family, and that's the way it is, because you're putting your life in this guy's hands every day you go to work.
And is that different than John?
I think John's been there. John has his people. A lot of retired troopers that are around him, but John has his people. And again, also, I'm not going to get into the mudslinging or anything else, but even anybody of his supporters, I think Shane and them kind of there was some differences and stuff Shane said, and then they turned it and flipped it or whatever, and I'm going to stay away from that at all costs, and I'm going to make sure people that are supporting me, that I can control my team, stay away from that, because
I guess I appreciate that. I really respect that. I'm glad you guys are, because I really think there was some mudslinging, especially heard about a lot against Shane, that really angered me. I guess I'm just asking for like a real clear contrast, not saying that the other side is bad or good or what, just you're different a lot in this area, And is it mostly community oriented?
Well, I'm different a lot because, again, I know, again, I don't know John's background as far as like, his school. I know he was a highway patrolman. That's where he spent his career, as a highway patrolman. He's only been a deputy realistically for the last 2 years, and that was in the office. And that was at the admin level,
Mm-hmm.
I've been, boots on the ground through all of it, as far as being a K9, being a K9 officer, being a patrol deputy and a patrolman in Carteret County, dealing with the people. I've been, a school resource officer. I've been an investigator. I've done backgrounds. I've done, internals. I've done major crimes. All those things I've worked. So if there's an issue with the citizens calling saying, hey, I'm dealing with your detective, or I'm dealing with this deputy, that he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, I'll know what he's supposed to be doing. I can deal with it from.
You've been there.
I've been there, done that. And again, a detective, I know what they should be doing. So I can deal with it from that level. I can answer questions, from the deputy, because I've been there, I've done that. So that's really it. I think that holds a big weight. Besides the passion for the area, I've heard several different things about, well, he's been here 20 years. I have a vested interest in Carteret County. I have my whole life in Carteret County. My whole family's in Carteret County. My friend base in Carteret County. I have a vested interest in Carteret County. It's not just a place I decided to live. It's a place I lived and will remain in Carteret County.
Maybe I know we're getting close on time, and maybe that's something that we can get into again, because a little bit deeper. And again, not to like mudsling, but maybe pro law enforcement, regardless of what anyone does in law enforcement. But maybe where you're saying, because Shane brought that up also, as far as his actual experience as being on patrol and investigating crimes and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, compared to, again, not knocking on, Chief Deputy Nyberg as a highway patrol, state trooper, but just the difference in the experience as far as the crime, I guess, the crimes you investigate and how they did to deal with it, and, things that should happen. Maybe that's something we could, because I think that's important. I think that's an important thing. And I think that's I think that absolutely, as a leader, again, not that he hasn't had his boots on the ground, but it's just been in a different atmosphere, right? So to speak. Yeah. And that I think that's important. I think it's important that you've done that job in all aspects and from the different. Hey, Seamus thinks he's in agreement with us too.
Speaking of K9,
yeah.
So
all right.
what do you think? Maybe we could have you on again, and to get deeper into that, to get deeper into the specifics of that. That.
Yeah,
contrast.
I would love to have, I'd love to have a forum with, of course, Nyberg, but I guess you've reached out to him and he don't want to. But because again, I don't think
we're big enough.
Maybe never know. He might.
Yeah.
I don't think we're big enough. I don't think we have a big enough fan base to make a difference.
So hey, if it was just
he might have.
But yeah. Well, like I said, yes, I'll definitely come back on, the show for sure.
Appreciate you being on, and but yeah, I think we'd love to have you. Oh, sorry. Just getting back. Appreciate having you on, and then I take you out. I just appreciate having on. We'd like to get digging deeper, and like I said, you have 7 months to prepare and to build that coalition and army, and we would love to be a part of that. Not to exclude John. We'd love to have John on, be a part of his campaign too, if he comes on and we hear stuff that we like. We just haven't heard anything from his side, so we could dig in, but we really appreciate you and Shane coming on here, and now you are running in November, so we really want to get behind you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thank you for the time.
No problem. We want to remind people to go to riceforsheriff.org to find out anything about Franklin and his platform and where he's going to be. I think you'll find a lot, and particularly to click on his social media. That's where you can find all the social media, right? Is that right, Franklin?
Yes, sir.
And you're doing a fundraiser raffle, right, for a pistol? Did I see that? Is that correct?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep, for 9mm.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's you can reach out, message me on my, either message me through the email on my webpage or on Facebook, and you can pay it through Venmo, or I can meet up with you. It's $25, towards the campaign for a nice SIG.
Cool.
So
nice. All right.
So it's an $800 pistol. If you win one, if you get one $25 ticket, win an $800 pistol, ain't a bad deal. So
I'm gonna have to. How many times can
I be worth spending $500?
Exactly.
Can I just buy the whole? Can I just? Yeah.
Well, so far we've had a lot of people watching. Only one thumbs up. We encourage you guys to thumbs up the video or leave a comment. It's even better. Leave your thoughts. We thank Mayor-elect Lee Stiles for giving us a thumbs up and tuning in. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think. We're gonna have him back on here to sort of get his thoughts on it. So we'll probably talk to him about you and his thoughts. And so again, we thank you for coming on, Jeff. Unless you have anything else, I think we're gonna hit the outro.
No, I think that's good. Thanks a lot for coming on. I appreciate it. And
all right.
Yeah, if you're out there watching, we will do a better job as far as announcing when we're gonna have our podcast. I think we need to do a little bit better job on our own advertising, so to speak. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Franklin, and looking forward to hopefully talking to you again soon.
All right. You guys too. Y'all have a good week.
You too. Bye-bye.